Hey, it's Greg. In a previous video, I shared a spreadsheet that you could use to manage your farm finances. If you're already proficient with spreadsheets, then you should be able to start right away, edit that, and change it to meet your needs. If you're not so proficient with spreadsheets, I'm going to do a quick tutorial here that reviews the features that I've used to build this spreadsheet. That should allow you to get started, give you a jump start. I'm going to use this tab here, which is not part of the spreadsheet. It's just something that I'm going to use for this tutorial. A spreadsheet is basically a two-dimensional grid of cells, and you need to be able to identify the cells. And so you use the column and the row. Columns across the top here are letters, A, B, C. Rows are numbers, 1, 2, 3. And you identify a cell by the column and the row. A1 is column A, row 1. You can also identify ranges by the starting cell and the ending cell. Here we're starting at B5 and ending at C9. So that's what? 2 columns, 5 rows, that's 10 cells. So that is a range of cells. And you separate the first cell from the last cell with a colon. A convenient thing to know about cells and ranges is that if you have used a cell or a range in a formula, you can either see the formula up here or by double clicking here. And if you click on a cell or a range, it will highlight the cell or range so that you don't have to look at the column and the row and try to figure out where it is. Here, for example, here is a formula that includes this range and this range. And you can see that if you click it, this is orange text here, this is orange highlighting here. Similarly, click this, purple, purple. So you know that E5 through E9 is that range, and you can just visually see it. And it's quick and easy to verify what you've used as a range. Okay, let's talk about named ranges. You can see in this formula, I have given the range as a starting and ending cell, B5 through B9. In this formula, this is a range as well. I have used a named range. So you can highlight a range and then give it a name, and then in formulas, you can use the name of that range, which is sometimes easier. And I have used these named ranges in the spreadsheet, so you kind of need to be aware of that. And the way you do that is you highlight the cells, go here to this box, and you enter some name. And it'll create that named range. And if you click here, you can see the named ranges I've already created. The broiler expenses goes to the broiler expense tab and highlights that whole range, like that. The broiler income tab goes to this other tab, and it's that range. So I've used name ranges in formulas, so you need to know about that. Let's go back to our example tab here. Let's look at some formulas. First of all, this tab is just some fake data with enterprises. So we've got enterprises listed here in the table, the type, the number of units, the average weight per pound, total weight in pounds, and the total weight in ounces. And I'm just going to use this to demonstrate some of the formulas. Formulas start with an equal sign. So in this table, we have enterprises. We have the units and the average weight. Let's calculate the total weight in pounds. So let's start by clearing this. If we want the total weight in pounds, we're going to put an equal sign here. We're going to click here and then a multiply, which is the asterisk, and then click here and hit enter. So we have the total weight in pounds. It's this times this. So it's an equal sign, the cell times the cell. If we want to duplicate that for these other rows, all we have to do is click on this blue dot, drag down, and it'll populate the formulas. Now, if over here we want the total weight in ounces, we want to multiply this times this. So let's do that again. It's equal sign, click here, times, click here. Okay, now the thing about this is that I3 is not locked. If we drag this down, it is going to assume that we want a I3 to drag down here as well. So this is not going to work. We see that we don't get what we're looking for here. What we want to do is lock this I3, and you can hit the function F4 button to rotate through the different choices here, what you're locking. You can lock the column, lock the row, or lock them both. Since we want this cell right here, we're going to lock them both by putting a $ in front of the column and the row. So with that done, we can click this blue dot, drag this down here again, and now we see that each one of these cells has I3 in it. It did not try to figure out what we wanted to do and update those, so it locked to that cell. While this cell, the first argument, does update. So that's exactly what we want. So that's an example of a simple formula. We wanted to multiply this times this, we get it here. We want to multiply this number times this, we use a locked cell address. All right, let's do a sum down here. Let's remove these. We want to get a total of that column. We just type equals sum parentheses, and we can highlight and drag that and hit return, and we get the total sum for that column right here. We can drag this over here and get the same thing here. This is the sum of that. And this is the sum of that. So that works. All right, what if we want, let's say right here, we want the total poultry weight in pounds. So we've got a table here, it's got a type, there's 3 things that are poultry. We want it to sum up these 3 numbers and put it right here. That's where the sumif formula comes in. So you say equals sumif, look in this range for this string, and if you find it, add up the numbers in this range. And what we get are these 3 numbers. We want to see the sum down here. This is 4160. So we're looking at the cells in this range right here, 4160, which is exactly what it says right here. So we know that our formula is doing the right thing. It's a sumif. Look in this range for this poultry string. If you find it, add up the numbers in this column. The next one is vlookup, which is very handy. You have a table and you want to pick a certain value out of that table, and you can use vlookup to do that. So we have this example data range that I showed earlier. So we want to look in that range for the word pigs in the leftmost column in that range, which is this one. And when we find it, we want to go over 6 columns, which is right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when we do that, we get 48,000, which is this number right here. If we change pigs to cattle, we get this number down here, because in that range, it's going to find cattle in the leftmost column, come over here 6 columns, and give us that number. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. So those are the basic formulas. Some simple math, how to sum a column, how to do a sumif, and how to do a vlookup. Those are all used in the spreadsheet. All right, the next thing I wanted to show was how to drag a formula, but we've already shown that. If you have a formula here, you get a blue dot, you can grab that and drag it, and it'll copy that formula across some range. Very handy. Another thing that's handy is we have some formatting here, and let's say we wanted this to look the same. All we have to do is highlight this range, click this paint roller over here, and then click here, and it will paste the font size, the bold, the colors. It'll paste everything right on there. So you don't have to go hunting around to reproduce that format. If you want to copy it, you can do that, which I use a lot. The next one is Control Z, which you just saw me do. If you want to undo something, you just hit Control Z. You You want to redo it, click that. You want to undo it, click that. And the undo is on the Control-Z key binding. All right, how did I get these text and background colors? I got that up here off of the ribbon. So if you click a cell, you can click this to change the text color. You can change this to change the background color. Number formatting, the 16 is just a plain number. The number formatting comes off of the ribbon right here. You can click this button to get percentage, scientific notation, dates. So you can pick whatever format you want. You can use these two buttons to increase or decrease the number of decimal points. This will give you a currency. This will give you a percentage. So that's how you can change the number formats. All right, let's move this over here a little bit so you can see the whole tool ribbon. Because this tool ribbon right here, I use this a lot. This is the undo and redo. This is the paint roller we talked about. This is the size of the display. These 5 right here are for the number formatting. This is the font style. This is the font size. Bold, italic, strike through. These two we just looked at. This is the text foreground and background. This one sets the borders. You can set top, bottom, left, right, whatever borders you want. And this is alignment, left, right alignment. So that ribbon is very handy. I use that all the time. The last thing I want to do is add and remove an enterprise, because that's probably one of the first things you're going to want to do in order to make this spreadsheet your own. So if you remember, we've got 5 enterprises: eggs, broilers, turkeys, etc. We're going to want to add one here. Let's say we want to add sheep. Also remember that we've got 3 tabs for each enterprise. So our egg income, egg expense, egg data. I'm just going to use one of those as an example. So let's start by adding, let's duplicate this egg income. So here we have a duplicate tab. We're going to change this to sheep. I'm going to click it and drag it over here. I'm going to come up here and add some prices. Drag those down so we get some unique number. I'm going to delete the rest of these rows here. Delete rows, and now we've got $980 of sheep income. All right, and we would like that number to show up here on our actual tab. Let's go back here for a second and first create our named range, sheep income. So if we click here and find sheep income, yes, we get that range. All right, let's go to our actual tab. If you remember, we have 5 rows here for each enterprise. So let's duplicate this. We're going to insert rows above. Let's copy this. You would want to change all of these from eggs to sheep. Let's do a couple of those. Change that to sheep. And then let's go here, and what we want is a vlookup, and our search term is going to be the word total off of our common tab here, which is this cell right here. Let's use our function F4 to lock that, and the range is going to be our sheep income, which we just created. We want column 2, and we did not sort our data. So that's how we got our vlookup. So we had sheep income of 980, and on our actual tab we have 980. And you could do the same thing for your expenses. Duplicate the egg expenses, change the names, put your numbers in there, and get that to show up here. All right, and then we want this to show up on our budget tab. So we would insert a row here, call it sheep. And at that point, you could fill in your budget information, and you can take this formula and drag it down here, and it's going to work. There's nothing unique here. It's going to work automatically, and you've got your $980 of sheep income on this page. And that's really all you need to do. We did 3 things. We created a tab here. We got it on our actual tab with a vlookup, and we got it over here on our budget tab by using this vlookup here as well. And that's it. that adds in enterprise. All right, let's reverse that. If you want to remove enterprises, of course you can change the name of an enterprise. Instead of adding and deleting, you could just change the name. But let's delete sheep. We're going to delete that row. We are going to go to our actual tab and delete all of these rows. Delete rows. Let's delete this entire tab here. And then we're going to go to our named ranges, manage those, and see if there is a sheep named range. Here it is, sheep income. We're going to edit that, delete it, and remove it. Close this. And we should be back to where we were. We've got 55% margin, 37% margin. So that should, we're back to the beginning. We added an enterprise and removed an enterprise. That's everything I wanted to cover in this tutorial. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up or leave a comment below. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.